You mentioned in your talk about the significance of the resurrection. Could you possibly tell us a little about the impact that the resurrection has had on your life? Obviously, if it's true,
Sure.
It changes everything.
Sure.
Could you explain that?
I was not raised in a Christian home or even a church-going family. I became a Christian late in my teenage years. And as a non-believer, I knew the darkness and the despair that I later learned existentialist philosophers experienced and wrote about. The despair and meaninglessness of a life doomed to end in death. That I, who seems so real and alive today, would someday no longer be. That I would cease to exist. And the thought just overwhelmed me. The idea that I would no longer exist, that my life was doomed to end in death. And this put a question mark behind everything that I did. Everything to me seemed, in light of my own impending non-existence, to be meaningless. And I realized as well that it wasn't just I who would die, but the entire human race is doomed in the eventual heat death of the universe. Everything will be darkness, coldness, and barrenness, death. Death is written throughout the structure of the universe. There is no escape or hope on an atheistic worldview. And so I felt deeply this despair and darkness of a life doomed to end in death. And for me, the knowledge of the resurrection brought to me meaning to life and hope, because the resurrection means that Jesus of Nazareth holds the key that unlocks the door to eternal life. Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. And he who lives and believes in me shall never die." And this is a proclamation of good news. Many people will say that becoming a Christian filled their lives with joy or peace or love. For me, those things were wonderful too. But the deepest experience I had was the experience of meaning. To wake up every morning and realize that what I did today mattered, that it has eternal significance, and that comes through resurrection and his conquering death. It not only means, however, immortality, it also means complete physical and psychological healing. Christ's resurrection body was a prototype of ours. The Christian hope is not of a disembodied existence, a soul that flies away to some ethereal heaven. It is that we will have resurrection bodies in a renewed and transformed creation. And for me, this was deeply meaningful because I bear in my body the weakness of an inherited genetic neuromuscular disease called Charcot-Marie-Tooth syndrome that causes atrophy in the extremities. It's progressive, and this is something I've lived with for most of my life. And the hope that someday to be delivered from this disease is a wonderful hope to which I look forward. Not only that, however, what I have also come to realize is that all of us are psychologically broken as well. I came to realize that my Charcot-Marie-Tooth syndrome not only affected me physically, but it had affected me emotionally as well. That as a kind of compensatory mechanism for my physical weakness, I threw myself into academics because I could succeed in academics. And this gave me a sense of self-worth and a sense of accomplishment, even though I couldn't play sports or do the things that the other guys did. And that gave me then a kind of goal-oriented A-type personality that can be very negative in certain ways and filled with a kind of deep insecurity. And coming to understand myself more and realize that the resurrection of Jesus means not only physical healing, but complete emotional and psychological healing was wonderful as well. And then, of course, healing as we're freed from all our guilt and sin and evil, the selfishness that one senses in one's own heart. There's just tremendous, tremendous personal significance, I think, in the subject we've talked about tonight. Now, I've approached it this evening historically, in a sort of disinterested manner. But if this is true, then it is anything but disinteresting. This is vitally, vitally important, and I think life transforming. It's changed my life. Thank you.